What is the most illegal thing you have done 100% as an honest mistake? Trespassed. I went to a different high school than my then BF. I went to meet him after school one day. I had a PD day. He didn't. And apparently, being a public school doesn't mean public property. 16 Yomi didn't know that. They actually charged me with a ticket. Court date and all. Edit. A response to add to the people who feel I'm leaving out details etc. Of course I am, because rarely do people want to read huge paragraphs of response on Reddit. But here are a few more of the missing pieces if you want. In high school I was very goth alternative. I wasn't allowed to express this at the Lutheran private school I attended. So when I wasn't in school I dressed it up lots. I also had several facial piercings. My BF was a punk guy the first met at the school. During the last half of our last year his parents transferred him to public school because they thought his grades weren't good enough. On a day off school I went to meet Hi Monsieur. It was in the winter and blizzarding outside. It was 2005. He didn't have a cell phone so I couldn't just text him to meet me. I had never been to his school before and arrived insanely early because I was worried about getting lost on Edmonton's bus system. Had to take 2 transfers to get there. So classes were still in when I arrived. I had no idea what room he was in or where his locker was, or what door he was likely to exit. I went to the front desk to ask what room he was in and they told me they couldn't give me that information but they could make an announcement at the bell over the PA. I said that he wouldn't hear it. He's always listening to music and he doesn't pay attention anyway. Fuck the system and all that. She insisted that's all she could do and told me to take a seat again. I knew I'd miss him if this happened so I just said I'd wait elsewhere. I went to the exit closest to the bus stop so I could see if he was walking there but I didn't. Wanna wait outside because it was fucking cold and I was dressed inappropriately. The secretary called the cops they have on call for the district. They took me to some conference room to talk about trespassing etc. And I think they were also trying to determine if I was up to mischief. And he did charge me with trespassing. I had a court date and everything. I feel that this largely happened because of my appearance. Being all alternative I was judged by the secretary and cops. They couldn't see that I wasn't all a super academic student. That I'd never done drugs or drank underage. I was pretty straight edge. I don't know that anything had ever felt more unfair to me in my life and it's certainly an experience that eroded my previous pretty solid respect for the police in our country. That's stupid. I would have just given you a warning. Guess someone was on a power trip. That's so stupid. They should have just asked you to leave. I was an Uber driver for the summer. Got a request to drive a guy from Southern Ree to Boston. A 2.5-hour drive. For a pretty $250. Went to a stop-and shop to pick this guy up, which was odd, and he had 2 suitcases and a duffel bag on. Hi Monsieur. He got in. We exchanged pleasantries and we were on our way. After about 15 minutes of driving, I began to get a hint of some bud. Normal. A lot of passengers smell like that gas when they get in. But the more I drove, the stronger the smell got. It got so bad, by the time I got to Boston, it smelled like someone had taken 5 blunts to the face while hotboxing the car. With the windows down, like I had never been around the smell of weed this strong. But the passenger didn't seem to notice as he never even looked up from South Park on his phone. Eventually, we got to his destination, a dilapidated house in the South End, and I asked him why it smelled so strongly of weed. He kind of got nervous and insisted he didn't know, quickly gathering his bags and ran into the house. He later tipped me $30 for the trip. Now I don't want to say for certain, but I'm pretty sure this guy paid me $280 to move the very large amount of weed across state borders. This was about a year ago, and you still get a whiff of bud when you open the door to my car. I'd say that's exactly what happened. There is a commercial deodorizer that might help. It's called Nilodor. It comes in a 7 ml bottle. I found it at the supermarket, but Amazon likely carries it. My dad uses it to deodorize the pub he is the cleaner for. Accidentally came across real CP involving a grown man and a girl I'd guess to be around 7. On fucking DeviantArt. I've also accidentally seen real CP. But that's because my boyfriend at the time sent it to me. The saying, "This girl looks just like you." I was 13. And the girl in the video definitely was not any older than that. I guess the mistake in question was dating that weirdo in the first place. How old was he? He was 17. I did this child protection day course thing for work not long ago, run by the police in my area. One thing I remember as a point of interest was that they were encouraging a movement away from the term child pornography and towards child exploitation imagery. The logic is that people view pornography on the whole as okay. And then different levels of niche fetish or just societal limitations. Then some people use that framework to justify seeking out or producing child exploitation imagery. Because it's just another type of porn. Anyway, I found it interesting and have stopped using the term CP since doing that course. I came back from England with a bunch of Kinder eggs. Didn't realize they were illegal to bring to the US. Lady at customs asked if I had any food. I said no, because to me, Kinder eggs aren't food. They're freaking candy. Didn't even connect the dots in my head. Felt pretty bad when I was talking to my friend after, who told them about his, and they made him destroy them all. Political statement. Liberate Kinder eggs. Kinder Surprise is not the same thing and it's shit in comparison. Guns fine, toys and chocolate eggs no. From the window of a moving car. Yelled, "Have another ball," Lance Armstrong. And threw a tennis ball as hard as I could right at the side of my friend's ribcage as he was pedaling his bike. It looked like my friend from the back and the bike was similar. My friend is not a police officer though. Oh man, yikes. Yesterday I walked out bullseye with an entire grocery cart full of groceries and stuff that I didn't pay for. I went to do checkout and they had no registers open, only the DIY self-checkout. It was a major pain in the ass because I was doing a huge amount of shopping. I had to call over assistance 3 or 4 times because of barcodes not scanning or just missing. I had so many groceries that I had to move them off of the scale into another cart. I guess I was not thinking clearly. It has been extremely hot here and on top of that I was wearing a thick fabric mask and I think I was getting a little bit of a heat stroke. For some reason they didn't have any air conditioning in the checkout area. So as I was moving groceries off the scale and into the other cart, I just kept doing that on autopilot. Loaded up everything and just walked right out. I had loaded everything into my car and then I realized I didn't pay for it. I went back in and apologized and asked them if I could pay them, hoping that they had saved some sort of ticket with my checkout. They didn't, so I had to go back to my car and bring all the groceries back, recheck everything else out and pay for it. I was super apologetic and they weren't angry at all. In fact, I think they were a little shocked that I came back. I think they had just written me off as gone. I did this years ago at IKEA, big order, and forgot the curtain rods I had in my hand. I also returned after getting to the car, but the staff told me they couldn't verify that I had stole the rods, so just gave them to me. I felt like that lady in the IKEA commercial, "Start the car." And then strangely enough, I actually met the lady from the commercial a couple years ago. She did not find my stolen curtain rod story remotely interesting. You got lucky. Someone in my area was walking towards the checkout area in Home Depot when he got a phone call. He answered the call and walked out of the store, forgetting that he was carrying 2 fold-up chairs. He was charged with shoplifting and prosecuted, though part of the reason may have been that he is a political activist who has pissed off a lot of people in the region. This may have been someone's way of giving him the middle finger. Mod respect to you for bringing the groceries back to pay for them, sir. You know, all the underpaid cashiers probably didn't give 2 shits that you walked off without paying. and were probably more pissed that you came back and now they had to check you out. I accidentally broke into a house. Does that count? My sis and I were asked to grab the mail for some neighbors on vacation and leave it in the garage, near the door. In their garage, they've got a coded key box thing, where you put in the code. The box opens, and there's a key inside. I happened to see them putting in the code before, because we were friends with their kids and hung out with them often. So I knew how to get the key. I thought it'd be even nicer if we brought the mail inside. So I got the key and unlocked the door. Well, it turns out they had an alarm system inside that I didn't know the code for. I opened the door. The alarm sounded, and I sprinted home and saw the police like 15 minutes later pulling up to their driveway. We weren't asked to help though. Again, something similar happened to me. I was at school on a Saturday. I was in the band and we were going to the football game. I was thirsty, so I went upstairs to get a pop from the vending machine. Accidentally set off the silent alarm that I didn't know the school had, turning on the car light while my dad was driving. "I'm sorry, Dad, I just dropped my DS and I needed to find it. Please forgive me." I've read lots of these. But seriously, what the fuck, dude? You should be glad that he even acknowledges your family relationship. Someone stole my car accidentally. I was standing in an empty parking lot trying to figure out why my key wouldn't work in my door lock when I realized the dent in the back of my car was gone. Holy shit, this isn't my car. I went back into the mall to use the payphone. Yeah, this was a long time ago. And I see an identical car pull up next to my car's twin. Some guy jumps out, runs to his car, and drives away. Apparently the tumblers were loose on my car's lock and ignition, and the key to his car worked in my car. My car had no muffler and was a colossal piece of shit. I can only imagine what thoughts went throughout his head when he turned the key and it roared to life and sputtered down the road. I'm sure he was relieved to figure out it wasn't his car. Older Toyota Corollas only had like 13 different keys for all the cars produced each year. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.